Wellness supplements. McDowell's Immune Booster enhances your body's defense to fight colds and flu, boosts your immune system, prevents viruses and other airborne diseases. McDowell's Colon Cleanser prevents constipation, helps in removing toxins from the colon, detoxifies the body, and regulates your bowel movements. McDowell's Prostate Health prevent the enlargement of the prostate, improve urinary flow, and reduce frequent urination, especially at night. Moringa oleifera capsules are rich in minerals like calcium, potassium, zinc, magnesium, iron, and copper, vitamins like beta-carotene, vitamin A, vitamin B such as folic acid, vitamin C, D, and E. McDowell's Potassium Complex, used for treating and preventing low potassium levels, high blood pressure, preventing stroke, and aid in weight loss. McDowell's Triple Magnesium relaxes the muscles, relieves cramps and helps to control high blood pressure, improves sleep, and can calm the nerves. Magnesium is very important for the normal functioning of cells, nerves, muscles, bones, and the heart. McDowell's Ginger Turmeric helps to relieve pain, decrease nausea and enhance the immune function to help protect against illness and infection. Ginger turmeric has powerful anti-inflammatory properties and improves your circulation. Don't hold health back. Let health strike back. McDowell's, the better way to start your health. Visit Health Service Center, John Compton Highway, call 453-6417. Let your wellness be our stress.
It is well known that diseases like diabetes, high blood pressure, and other illnesses may restrict blood flow, which can lead to impotence and erectile dysfunction. This is why Enhance was formulated to meet these challenging health problems, which can reduce your ability to perform. If you're having problems maintaining your manhood, then reclaim your manhood today with Enhance. Enhance increases your energy level, boosts your stamina, and increases your endurance.
You can get your Enhance at Southwell VA4, Restorer Pharmacy Soufre, Knights Med Miku, Lay by Bar The Morn, Dexter's Place Jeremy Street Castries, Citygate Bar The City opposite the market, Plants Place Denry Highway, Arlette Supermarket Soufre, The Release Stress Bar Labrie Highway, Cool Joint Bar Victoria Schwazel, Prios Bus Stop 22, next to the Moshi Bus Stop opposite the Grosile Bus Stop. Prios Bar and Grill in Corinth, Grosile.
Enhance, the best a man can get.
Why are you suffering from aches, pains, and illnesses?
The man, the voice. Your hero is back. Raw facts, no fluffs. Shelton Daniel is here to deal with the issues. Real issues. 12:30 p.m. to 2 p.m. Monday to Friday on Real FM.
Another wonderful Thursday afternoon to you, everyone. Welcome once again to The Real Issues with me, Shelton Daniel, your host and producer, alongside our technical operator, Alton Jaquan Joseph. I hope you're having a good day so far. It is the 19th of February, 2026. Our program airs weekdays from 12:30 until 2 p.m. on the radio station, Real FM, that serves you on two frequencies, 91.3 for the north and 91.5 for the south. We simulcast on NBC Television, channel 120 on the Flow Cable TV service. We are on Facebook Live and on YouTube live streaming as well. We have a bit to cover today, but I promise it won't be long before I open the phone lines for you just the same. Someone sent me a message which was very interesting, but let me begin by saying hello, best wishes to Mr. Victor Gerard, an elderly former senior civil servant, a former cabinet secretary to be precise, and permanent secretary in the Ministry of Home Affairs, among others. He's also a former controller of customs, 90 years old, not today, that's not the birth date, but he's 90 years old, not doing too well, as we know when we reach a certain age. As someone, I think it was Julian Hunt who once told me that when you reach, and Julian's 85 years, soon to turn 86, that you're like a very old vehicle. And then naturally some parts start to wear out and they don't work very well, and some of them you can't get any replacement for them. So the vehicle is definitely on its way out. That was Sir Julian Hunt, when I asked about, his health and so on, maybe sometime last year, etc. This was the way that he phrased it. So Mr. Victor Gerard, not in the best of health these days. Already at that age, I think last year, he had a further health setback, and now he is battling with something else that he has to be receiving specialized treatment, which for someone his age isn't always very easy. You take him to the hospital, and then, like everybody else, he's got to wait. No matter what we do, there are people ahead of us in the queue and so on. And for someone at that age and in the condition that is in, having to sit on a hard chair, waiting his turn for what could turn out to be hours, it can really lend to his suffering. But on each occasion that he's had it recently, eventually things have been, pretty much cleared up, and it's been pretty much good news for him to show some signs of improvement. To him, his wife, Marilyn Kanai Gerard, and his children, I want to wish the best for his continued coping and ability to handle and to treat with whatever it is, the affliction which at some point or the other, some of us much younger, that we face. Let's just think of it. In recent times, we've had much younger men than Mr. Gerard, in the persons of our comrade Mahoney Auger. We've had Winson Edward, both from Viewfort. We've had so many others that have, in fact, journeyed on to the great beyond, but he's still there battling and fighting, and none of us knows when our time might come that we have to go the way of all flesh. So I continue to have Mr. Gerard, his wife, very dedicated lady, an elderly person herself, having to deal with those struggles, and to all who have been supportive and who have been helping, in the current, trial of adversity caused by failing and decline in health, to him and to everybody else who is going through that. It's nothing, sometimes people like to make you believe that anytime you face some kind of trial or adversity is because you've done something wrong, is something you're paying for. And even in Christian circles, there is that lack of compassion, that lack of grace and generosity, that people look at you, oh, you must be sinning, you must be have some secret, little thing that you're doing on the side that nobody knows about. And that, there's that type of Christianity that has come about the health and prosperity gospel, that if you're getting sick, or if you're broke, if your money is running out and you're struggling financially, it's because you don't have enough faith, you're failing to name it and claim it, or you're doing, well, these questions were answered in the book of Job, where a man who was a faithful man, a godly man serving God, got afflicted with all kinds of misfortunes and bad health and all manner of plagues and things like that fell upon him. And he had 3 friends who came to him, sitting around supposedly to console and comfort him. And all they were telling him, Job, there must be something about you that you're not telling us. There must be, some sin that you're doing. There must be some, idolatry you're practicing. There must be some avarice and greed and covetousness. There must be some side woman that you have. And apparently, how you call that? When you have several wives, what was the name of when you have different wives and so on? Can you imagine I'm forgetting a name like that at this time and so on, Somebody help you, please. In the cultures where you have, bigotry or whatever it is, not bigotry, but, bigotry would mean 2. Polygamy, right? Polygamy. Can you imagine that? It didn't seem like it was a culture of polygamy, because the book of Job only speaks of 1 wife, and even the wife gets so frustrated with seeing you in that state. She tells you, why you just keep talking God, 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 God? Man, hell with that. Just curse God and die, And he told her, he rebuked her and said, you speak like one of the foolish women. As my wife, I expected you to be wiser. So I'm just saying that even in Christian circles, I have been there. I've seen people that if you're struggling financially, especially if you dare to ask any of them for help, it's like there's this kind of look. What's wrong with you? Don't you have the Holy Spirit? Don't you? Aren't you a child of God that you should take dominion? That was one of the the catchphrases of the times: taking dominion, taking authority over this and that and the other. You know, so there's that kind of thing going around that, you know, you were once a top man in the civil service, you know, as if people in top positions, they don't get sick and decline and so on. So something must be wrong with you. So, you know, buy people, say this and that and the other and so on. And sometimes they don't realize that people find themselves in hardship economically precisely because of their integrity, precisely because they refuse to get drawn or sidetracked into any kind of bubble or crookedness or underhandedness, as we heard happening so much, you know, by people who were holding public sector positions and diverting resources away to go and build their own, you know, little mini hotel and apartments and so on. But all those who know Victor Gerard will say that if there was one thing about him, I'm sure he's not a man without faults, you know, that this sort of thing never formed part of his character. He always walked straight. He always walked good. He always, and to this day, believes in uprightness. And that is why he can call out anybody who is moving, deviating sideways. And you have never heard anybody point any fingers at this man, Victor Gerard. I sometimes say George Gerard was his brother and so on, you know. But nobody has ever impugned. Nobody has ever in any way been able to point a finger of accusation that will hold against Victor Gerard. So, you know, let us, while he's still alive, give him his honors, give him his kudos, his accolades and so on. And that's what I wanted to take a minute or two to do. All right, someone sent me a message which says, the first rule of being a hack is that you have to be well informed. There is no room for misinformation. In the wake of recent U.S. operations in our waters, the Flambeau hacks are suggesting that the current administration signed a secret agreement with the USA. Most of the Caribbean islands, including Jamaica, have signed ship-rider agreements with the USA. These agreements give the U.S. the right to do anti-drug operations in their waters. St. Lucia signed in 1995. This agreement was modified in 1996. In order to verify, please look up ship-rider agreements. Remember about the ship-rider agreements. And if they want to play politics, ask them which party was in office in 1995 and 1996. Ask them which party, which prime minister was there. You know, Kenny Anthony came in, I know for a fact, in May 1997. So, you know, they like to play their little politics. One time it is that Philip J. Pierre is not saying anything, he's not telling us, he's clueless. Another thing is that Philip J. Pierre is the one who gave the Americans the green light to go and bomb the people and kill the people, you know. So, you know, they're like headless chickens. You're van. You know, they don't know what to say, they don't know what line to take. They can't get the story straight because it is all born of desperation. You know, when you mix malice and desperation, you know, you're desperate to make yourself relevant. You're desperate to take out the shame in your eye from, you know, having to explain, which you can't do up to now, why you suffered back-to-back such heavy defeats. You know, you said the government was so bad. In fact, the government increased its popularity with the people, its number of seats and so on, its share of the popular vote, all this kind of thing. You can't explain it. So the most you can do is to take out shame in your eye by talking all kinds of crap all over the place, wild speculation, and then to be malicious, to see if you can make the country such a difficult place for the governing party, so that you'll be able to see what I told you. You know, y'all voted for them, and look at the situation that they're in. So, you know, there is that thing. There is the absolute agony of defeat, and then there is the absolute, you know, malice of wanting to mess up things for those who defeated you in an underhanded, sabotaging, undermining kind of way. So we expect we'll hear a lot of that. Don't pay it too much mind, okay? Don't pay it any mind. If what was happening in St. Lucia were unique to St. Lucia, then we can say there is something special and particular that our government is doing wrong. We do not see that. The very same struggles are the same struggles in Barbados. They are the very same struggles in St. Vincent and the Grenadines, in St. Lucia, in Dominica, in St. Kitts and Nevis. in Antigua and Barbuda, you just name it, in Jamaica, all of them, they're facing pretty much the very same struggles. And the greatest of these struggles is the struggle against uncertainty. Nothing is certain, nothing is settled, nothing is agreed. You can wake up tomorrow and then, somebody might just behave like a vaptic them, and whereas you had a nice meeting and they said, oh yes, he's a nice person, a nice guy, my friend, and so on. And tomorrow morning you just wake up and you hear that, another 200% tariffs have been put on you. You have no idea why, what happened, who whispered, who picked up the phone, who maybe had, I don't want to say things that might end up sounding a little disparaging to any groups of people. Everybody is facing this kind of craziness in the world, that the most powerful man in the world seems to be a reincarnated Roman Emperor Caligula. Read up on Caligula again, the absolute eccentricity and being erratic and unpredictable and this kind of thing, so what can we do? When Emperor Caligula rules the most powerful empire, has the most powerful military at his disposal, controls the economic factors and everything and so on that can determine who rises and who falls, who thrives and who collapses. So, those who just want to talk foolishness because they can't cope with the fact that the people said, at this time, given the challenges, this is who we want to be at the helm. Like in Barbados. Barbados has two parties. Both are very long established. Both have had history of success and so on. But can you imagine on 3, successive occasions, the people of Barbados in every single one of the 30 constituencies said, look, challenges, problems, criticisms, this is the party and prime minister and cabinet and representatives that we want, that we want to serve our interests and to look out for our well-being and so on. And they didn't say, okay, out of the 30, we'll give them 25 and give you 5, not a peco for the other side. Not a peco. We don't want you there. We want them completely. That is the voice of the people. The people have spoken in Barbados, as they have in St. Lucia, as they have in St. Vincent. If you can't take it, as a famous broadcaster, not active anymore, is to say, Mantoof. I'm going to be calling somebody now. He's a gentleman from the Dennery Valley, and he spoke to me privately, and he had some thoughts about agriculture, in St. Lucia, because, he's saying, yes, we can have some bright ideas about agriculture and how we need to, do this and do that and plant more and this and that and the other, but we have to look at some realities. And so that is why I'll only refer to him as Linus. So let's bring on Linus on the phone just to share his thoughts with us. As an ordinary St. Lucian, too often we feel, Okay, Linus, you're on the line right now. Yeah. Too often we feel that when we interviewing people, they have to be somebody with some title. They have to be somebody with some director of agriculture. Yeah, these people are important. But we need to hear the voices of ordinary St. Lucians, how they think of. They may not be right in terms of the science and all the technology and everything, but in terms of perspective, we need to get a sense of how they see it. And so, Linus, good afternoon to you and welcome to The Real Issues.
Yeah, Shelton, good afternoon to you as well, and all St. Lucians, wherever they may be at this time. Yeah, what I wanted to talk about is when you buy agricultural produce, there's no way that you can say where this item come from. Now, we know that we use a lot of agrochemicals in food production now. So I think, I don't know whether it's the Ministry of Agriculture or the Pesticide Board, but whoever, the relevant authority, should look into traceability. Because if you do not have that, supposing, let's say, for instance, somebody buy a produce and something went bad, okay? How do you know where this produce comes from?
Right.
There's no way you can do that, okay? So with traceability, you can identify the source of that produce. Okay. And it also helps the farmer too, because if people go and they constantly buying your produce and it's always good quality and so on, so people will be encouraged to buy that produce produce because it is good. So it will help farmers to at least up the game in farming. Okay, so that is why I think we should look at this very seriously. Okay. Again, agriculture I know is a lot of hard work. I want to say, very good for the farmers.
Have you ever been a farmer or an agriculturist yourself? I'm just asking.
Well, yes, I do banana farming, so I do know the risk that is posed in those agrochemicals on farms. Okay. So the other thing I want to talk about is the quality, the quality of the produce. So most times you go there because I buy from the supermarket, and then the price is not an issue to me because, as I said, it's hard work. But you buy the produce quite expensive, and when you get home, you cannot enjoy it.
Yes, I can tell you about that. You go and you buy the dashing, and in good faith, you can feel it and squeeze it. But it's only when you cut it open to peel it and chop it to cook it that you realize you have to throw away so much of it or something else, whatever. I'm just using that as an example, but, so many other things, And by then you cut it open already. You can't go back and say, well, this is what I bought and it's not good here. Yeah.
Although I think the supermarket, if you go back and you have your receipt, I believe that they will replace it for you. Yeah. But what I am saying is you need to know, the supermarket need to know their farmers. Okay, so if you have traceability, definitely, right away, on the spot, they will be able to identify and say, okay, that is coming from that farmer. So we need to talk to him, he need to address that situation. Okay? Right. So that is what I am saying, Also the quality. You need to know, well, that tomato, I bought it, but, it was because there are some tomatoes, when you buy it, as you said, they look good on the outside. But when you cut it open, you see some as if a yellowish line inside the flesh of the tomato. Yes. And it's not good. It's not tasty. Right? It's hard. Okay? So I think these are the things that we should look into agriculture. Again, we should also, probably the Ministry of Agriculture should focus more on backyard gardens because our landmass is small. I mean, sometimes one man can grow and flood the whole market, but you can also have various areas, to grow different crops, so we don't have that problem, So, like for instance, that the ministry can know, well, that area or that farmer is coming, how many pounds of tomato, how many pounds of yam. So you'd be able to juggle around and, set your items in a way that people can get it constantly. Because sometimes you go to the supermarket, there are most things that you can't get. And simple things like chives, seasoning peppers, and all those things. So we need to structure agriculture in a way that it can work for all of us. Because, for so long, and we have not changed much. For the past 50 years, what have we done so much? Yeah. So I think it is now, if we're going into agriculture, we must ensure we have everything, in place. We can look at other countries, what model that they use, to improve our agriculture production. As
I listen to you, Linus, in terms of traceability, I've been asking myself while I hear you speaking, how do you trace something which is a perishable item? How do you trace a breadfruit? If it turns out, how would you be able to have a system where you can trace, except if you have the thing packaged or labeled, or both of them? So that you can have such a thing as a barcode that you can scan and that you can say, okay, this particular breadfruit comes from a batch that we purchased from Mabuya Farms or Linus Farms, whatever, and that it was purchased on such and such a date and it has whatever. How would you go about doing it? Sounds like something you'd need to work with at least the Bureau of Standards on,
Yeah, you label it. You use labels.
Okay.
I mean, we buy from overseas. Look at the apple, for instance, the apple. When you buy apples, they are labeled, you know.
Yes, even the
Right.
individual apple most times has a little sticker on it that you need to peel off before you can eat it and so on.
Exactly, and that is important. So why we now not applying that method as well?
Okay.
Because we need people have to be safe in whatever that they eat. You want to ensure when you eat something that you are safe, whatever it is. Because you have numerous people out there farming and doing anything,
Okay.
So it is something that is serious, and I hope that the relevant authorities will look into it, or take it from there, and ensure that things go better.
Okay. Do you believe we will ever be able? Well, first of all, now we're facing a water situation that, my goodness, farming is always one of the areas that it affects worse. In terms of our irrigation and so on. But do we have a greater need for irrigation because we are trying to work against the seasons? We are trying to maximize output, and sometimes we don't go with the natural season where maybe water availability and the ability of crops to survive. Do you think we need to learn to coordinate ourselves better with our resource availability, such as water, and with the seasons that do not put too much pressure on us in terms of needing things like water? I'm just asking.
Exactly. You're spot on. Because now that is for the ministry now. I think the ministry have to play a greater role. The extension people have to play a greater role in that aspect. Okay? Like look at certain people where they are located, the availability of water, as you say, and how to structure the production throughout the year. You understand? That is what we have to do. Again, like zoning, whatever area, look at the areas and zone them and say, well, these are areas we can grow tomato because of the availability of water. And that farmer, although it's something, it's difficult because, you're introducing something new and you have people who have been in farming 10, 15, 20 years, But I believe we need to start it now, or else when it gets later, we can't do anything.
Okay.
You understand? We can do it, yeah. Because most farmers are depending on rain-fed irrigation.
Yes.
You understand? So we can factor that. If the extension people can look at it and also collect the information and assist the farmers. I believe personally, the extension people should work very close with the farmers producing food.
Okay.
They need to look at that. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Thank you very much. Man. Thank you very much, Linus. I appreciate your sharing your thoughts with us.
Yeah. Okay, man.
Okay. Good. All right.
Bye. Yeah.
Okay, and that brings us almost up to the hour on the real issues. I think the safest thing to do is to take the commercial break right now. But before we do, let's put on screen the community meeting that Honorable Moses Jean-Baptiste will be having in his constituency. And this was sent to me by the secretary in the VA4 North constituency group office, Angie Kedu. It's always a pleasure hearing from you and giving assistance wherever we can. So this, you can see it on the screen right now, and it says a pre-budget community meeting on Thursday, February 19th. That's today we're talking about, okay? On Asukaye, on Grace, all right, and Guas. Remember, there are two Graces. There's Basla Guas Labre, and there's the community of Grace, which people talking the Creole will say La Guas. And in Grace, it is under the tent, all right? So Asukaye, not and it's Asukaye in Grace, under the tent at 6:30 p.m. And there's a little note at the bottom of the flyer which says, together we can make informed decisions that reflect everyone's needs. So it's a pre-budget meeting, I suppose, to sound out the people of the constituency and the communities in terms of what they would like to see included in this year's budget, what they expect, what they would like to get out of it, how the budget can address their community needs, their personal needs, their constituency needs. And so that is Honorable Moses Jean-Baptiste having a pre-budget community meeting today, Thursday, February 19th at Asukaye in Grace under the tent from 6:30 p.m. Real Issues powered by Blue Waters. Vanessa, stay on the line. I'll talk to you during the break and we'll be back shortly.
The man, the voice. Your hero is back. Raw facts, no fluff. Shelton Daniel is here to deal with the issues. Real Issues, 12:30 p.m. to 2 p.m. Monday to Friday on Real FM.
McDowell's Supplements, an effective way to ensure you and your loved ones are getting the daily recommended intake of essential vitamins, minerals, and other important nutrients necessary for optimal health. Naturally, we carry an array of health and wellness supplements. McDowell's Immune Booster enhances your body's defense to fight colds and flu, boosts your immune system, prevents viruses and other airborne diseases. McDowell's Colon Cleanser prevents constipation, helps in removing toxins from the colon, detoxifies the body, and regulates your bowel movements. McDowell's Prostate Health prevent the enlargement of the prostate, improve urinary flow, and reduce frequent urination, especially at night. Moringa oleifera capsules are rich in minerals like calcium, potassium, zinc, magnesium, iron, and copper, vitamins like beta-carotene, vitamin A, vitamin B such as folic acid, vitamin C, D, and E. McDowell's Potassium Complex, used for treating and preventing low potassium levels, high blood pressure, preventing stroke, and aid in weight loss. McDowell's Triple Magnesium relaxes the muscles, relieves cramps and helps to control high blood pressure, improves sleep, and can calm the nerves. Magnesium is very important for the normal functioning of cells, nerves, muscles, bones, and the heart. McDowell's Ginger Turmeric helps to relieve pain, decrease nausea and enhance the immune function to help protect against illness and infection. Ginger turmeric has powerful anti-inflammatory properties and improves your circulation. Don't hold health back. Let health strike back. McDowell's, the better way to start your health. Visit Health Service Center, John Compton Highway, call 453-6417. Let your wellness be our stress.
It is well known that diseases like diabetes, high blood pressure, and other illnesses may restrict blood flow, which can lead to impotence and erectile dysfunction. This is why Enhance was formulated to meet these challenging health problems, which can reduce your ability to perform. If you're having problems maintaining your manhood, then reclaim your manhood today with Enhance. Enhance increases your energy level, boosts your stamina, and increases your endurance.
You can get your Enhance at Southwell Vie 4, Restorer Pharmacy Soufre, Knights Med Miku, Lay by Bar The Morn, Dexter's Place Jeremy Street Castries, Citygate Bar The City opposite the market, Plants Place Denry Highway, Arlette Supermarket Soufre, The Release Stress Bar Labrie Highway, Cool Joint Bar Victoria Schwazel, Prios Bus Stop 22, next to the Moshi Bus Stop opposite the Grosile Bus Stop, Prios Bar and Grill in Corinth, Grosile.
Enhance, the best a man can get.
Why are you suffering from aches, pains, and illnesses? When there's help for you. At Health Service Center, we offer a wide range of treatment that has been scientifically proven to help you with your aches, pains, and illnesses. Our ICT machine is one of the most effective devices in the health field. It has shown positive results in many health problems, such as back pains, shoulder pains, migraine headaches, pain in the knees and legs, poor circulation, arthritis, diabetic neuropathy, numbness in the feet, strokes and sports injuries. ICT, repairs, rebuild. The power to heal, the future of pain relief.
The man, the voice. Your hero is back. Raw facts, no fluffs. Shelton Daniel is here to deal with the issues. Real issues. 12:30 p.m. to 2 p.m. Monday to Friday on Real FM. Real FM.
Thank you so much, everyone, for staying with The Real Issues, powered by Blue Waters, on this Thursday, 19th of February, 2026, with me, Shelton Daniel. And, I feel like naming somebody now, because I never knew, would have never guessed, never imagined that she was once a banana farmer. And she says, I was a banana farmer at one time. I used to box and drive my bananas to the wharf. I had an FAR vehicle, and she gives me the FAR. If I give the number, everybody will know. This lady, I would never connect her with banana farming, And to tell me she used to box her own bananas, and she used to drive to the wharf. I mean, I knew her as, financial services banker kind of lady. I knew her also as a hotelier, but I would never have imagined that she was in bananas, and she was so dread and roots and down to earth that she used to box her bananas and so on. My goodness me. I just knew something about her was awesome. But it looks like we're getting the call. No, the person gave up. But congrats to you, my friend, that you have such a rich and diverse resume of experience. Okay, we're getting a call now, so let's take that first one. Real Issues, you're on the air. Go ahead. Hello? Hello? Jacquan, you come and you cut off my call, Jacquan, the call was there. You cut off the call. Hello? All right. It's a problem we have intermittently with the phones around the way. People. Are you there, caller, on the landline? Yeah. Talk now. Talk. Don't press any more buttons. Okay, might be. All right. So maybe we'll be able to get that again. Good afternoon to those of you on the Facebook Live who are following us there, and also those of you who are following on YouTube. Our streaming service there as well. We greatly appreciate it. Now, let me see. Somebody's just sending me an obituary on YouTube. I've noticed about someone. Let me see. Okay. It's a Serie person from Miku who passed away, but I can't really place who it is. Once I had named like Serie, Février, Descartes, and a lot of Chalries, I always try to see whether there's a Monrepo connection, because Monrepo is practically the home, the origin place of series. A lot of Descartes there, a lot of Chalries there. So when I hear those kind of names, Février is always usually a Monrepo, just like Dennery, which is where I was born. Spend the earlier part of my life and so on. My parents were Monrepo people who settled in Dennery and so on, where they had relatives and all of that. Once you hear Prosper, Regis, I tend to wonder, okay, is there a Dennery connection? And Frigis, I suspect Frigis is a spin-off somewhere along the line, and F got added to Regis, and so it settled. Or maybe it was not, but there's a lot of Regis. There's a lot of Frigis in Dennery. Prosper is a name that's very common today. So when I hear those names, I always ask myself, is there some? It doesn't mean they must be from there, but sometimes it's a long family connection and so on. So, I suppose the door has been thrown open. We're getting a couple of calls, although we seem to have lost both of them. But you can WhatsApp call us if you care to at any time on the mobile number, which is 758, area code of course, 487-9849. And you can also reach us on the landline, where we thought we were getting a couple calls a while ago, which is 4533-911. All right, okay, so the person that I was looking at is a guy I've known for a very long time, all my life, grew up knowing him. And his name is, this is what I tell you, when you grow up in an area and you have someone who has a nickname, you often grow up never knowing what the person's name is. And his name is Sylvester Stephen Serrier, which people would have known as Cockfin. And you heard me the other day talking about a young man called Bull that I grew up knowing him. His father's name was Timo Okadas. Give me 1 second, caller, just stay on the line. And I never got to know what his name is, just as his son Bull, but I knew that they were of the Serrier. Well, Cockfin, who I'm just getting the obituary, is almost mid-70s, 69 years, would have been Timo's first cousin. His father was Nelson Serrier, which they would have known as Nepin, about the place and so on. And so another member of that family has passed away, but I'm sure his wasn't because of any unnatural act or violence or something. Cockfin had a bit of a reputation of being a fighter, but then that Serrier family was known. When I talk about that young boy who dropped the security 3 times, it's because I grew up in a community where people would actually make fame and become, legend because of their fighting ability. And that Serrier family had a lot of people, and Cockfin was one of them, who was known to be a very effective fighter, fast and, yeah. Anyway, we got another caller on the line. Let's hope we can hear them this time. Real Issues, you're on the air. Hello? 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 All right, we seem to be having a problem today, at least for now, with the line where someone is obviously getting through, but we can't hear them. If they are talking, I don't really know. So condolences to, again, the very same Serrier family from whom Bull, the guy young man who was stabbed recently by, as I said, a relative of his, that we have someone who's a first cousin to Bull's father, passing away. And I knew him. People said he was a bad guy, or a guy who was a persecuting kind of guy, like to trouble people. But I don't know, a lot of people that I grew up with and I used to have bad vibes about them, for some reason they took to me, they would treat me good. They never had any, problems with me, to say, would try to bully me when they saw me on the road and so on. So I consider myself to have been very, very, very fortunate, people that you would consider to be fearsome and so on. The late Gabu, for all what I heard about him and drugs and this kind of thing and so on, he came to, I think I was working at the Star once, to talk about the police persecuting him. And I think just, Rick was busy and he asked me to handle, the interview and conversation, whatever, with him. And I don't think we ever published it. I can't remember. I think in a meeting we thought it would be sending out the message that we were serving as mouthpieces and basically apologists for these kind of guys and so on. But afterwards he took to me because he was so happy with the way I addressed him and showed respect and communicated with him in the little office that I shared with Earl and a few others and so on. Anyway, we have another caller on the line. Hi, Real Issues. Hello.
Hi, Shelton.
How are you doing? You okay?
Yeah, not too bad. How are you?
I'm doing fine.
Okay.
Now this is a man who would know a thing or two about Monrepo, but we're not going there.
Boy, Shelton, you always looking for Ruru.
No. You see, as I spoke about Cockfin and Kadas and Bull being killed and so on, I just, as you called, I said, this is a man who would know a thing or two about Monrepo. I don't know if you know about Serriers and these people, but
I know Serrier.
Okay.
Yeah, I used to work with him.
Okay, all right. Say no more.
But in terms of the other series, then so on, no.
All right.
Although he may be related to the others, if not really well.
Okay.
If not to all the others, at least to some of the others.
Yeah, I don't think there's any series in the Monrepo area who are not related.
Who are not related?
Somewhere,
okay.
Yeah, no, it's one, broad fabric of family, and so on. Yeah.
Okay. But Shelton, I wanted to speak to the issue of this bombing of the fisher boat, which killed, I think, 1 or 2 St. Lucians. And I heard you say that people are talking about how come the Prime Minister hasn't said anything yet, and da. And Shelton, listen. Have have we received any official communique? Do you know? From
to the best of my knowledge,
the US Embassy in Barbados.
Yeah, based on what the Prime Minister said, no official communique has been exchanged.
Okay.
Yeah.
So why are some people, all gung-ho about the Prime Minister making us... Listen, we've heard that it was probably or possibly a U.S. attack on that boat. But do we know that for sure? Do we have any evidence? Do we know whether the Prime Minister has received that communique that I mentioned earlier? Do we know whether he has spoken with or sent a letter or some kind of communication to the U.S. Embassy in Barbados making inquiries about that? You see, Shelton, I don't know what's wrong with some of us, but remember the U.S. Embassy in Barbados some time ago said that they had taken certain action against St. Lucia because the Prime Minister had said certain things which were not true. Remember that?
Yeah.
Okay.
And in fact, at some point, yeah, for sure.
Okay. Now, we have no evidence. Suppose the U.S. Embassy in Barbados says to us, look, we don't know what you're talking about. You're making accusations that the U.S. fired upon a fishing boat from St. Lucia, and we know absolutely nothing about that. Where is your evidence? Do we have any evidence? Do we have any
exactly?
experts
And
who have
if the alleged bombing took place in the waters, the territorial waters of St. Vincent and the Grenadines, the question is, why haven't we heard anything from the government of St. Vincent and the Grenadines? And you have to give Prime Minister Pierre time for him to converse and liaise with the Prime Minister Godwin Friday and the authorities of St. Vincent and the Grenadines.
Exactly.
And even Prime Minister Friday will tell you perhaps that he needs to properly get a report on the matter from the Marine police of St. Vincent and the Grenadines, to find out exactly what happened and so on. Because you don't want to go and say it's an American strike, and next thing it turns out is a fuel tanker aboard the boat that exploded or for whatever reason.
Right. That's right. I mean, we're seeing a photo showing something coming from above and landing on the boat and then the boat exploding. But the thing is, we don't know for sure exactly what went down there. Like you said, the thing happened in the waters of St. Vincent and the Grenadines. The Prime Minister, I mean, yes, two St. Lucian fisher folk got killed in that explosion. But let us wait and investigate this thing properly. Let the government of St. Lucia liaise with the government of St. Vincent, and together they can attempt to determine what happened. If they need to make inquiries of the U.S. Embassy in Barbados, then so be it. So, we can get solicit some kind of response from them in terms of, that. But before that, we cannot go half-cocked talking all kinds of foolishness when we have absolutely no evidence as to what people are saying happened. Yes. We don't. And the next thing, those people could say, look, we don't know what you're talking about. You're making inflammatory accusations against the United States of America, for which you have absolutely no evidence. You can provide no backup in terms of proof and so on. How do we then defend that? How do we? Yes, it may have been something coming from there. Yes, but how do we prove that actually happened? Do we have the necessary expertise to say yes? We found fragments of this or that to show that this thing actually came from where we said, or where we're saying that it came from?
Quite true.
I mean, we have to look at all of those things before we go half-cocked or gung-ho saying, they did it, and so we are. Look, the United States, in terms of those bombings off the coast of Venezuela, they admitted they did it.
Yes.
They did it. But the thing is, in this particular case, have they come out and made any statement? Do we know that they were responsible for that.
Mm-hmm.
So far, I've heard nothing. I don't know whether the government of St. Vincent and the Grenadines have heard anything from them. Whether the Philip GPA government has heard anything from them. In terms of that, I don't know. But I know I have heard absolutely nothing.
Mm-hmm.
So we needed to wait. We need to wait to find out exactly what went down there, whether the U.S. was involved or what, before we can make before the government of St. Lucia can make any statement on this matter. And I'm urging St. Lucians not to engage, not to peddle that kind of foolishness. We've been talking for years and years and years about data, evidence, proof. Before we go out there and do or say anything. But it looks like some people, for whatever reason or reasons, they figure that the Prime Minister must say something, he must do something, or else blah, 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 blah. Shelton?
Yes.
Thanks for giving me
all right. Okay, thank you. Thank you very much. Yes. Now, we can also take your calls on the WhatsApp line, which is 487-9849. Folks, what Andrew was saying there is so, it's so true. It's so on point. It's so wise. It is the kind of advice that we do well to take. Before next thing we hear some kind of statement about the government of St. Lucia has been persistently peddling untruths about the United States of America, alleging things that, without checking with our embassy or any of our officials to confirm. And for this reason, we are placing sanctions on St. Lucia. These people are looking for any reason, any excuse to hurt people, They're looking for any reason, any excuse that they can get to inflict pain, to remind you that they are the top dog, that they're powerful, and so on. Sometimes what was said there is really neither here nor there. It makes no difference. It doesn't change anything. But this is an age of an America which just wants to let you know that it is boss and that it is in control and that it rules and so on. And they'll do anything, even to a tiny country that already doesn't have anything, just to let you know that we can hurt you, we can squeeze you. That's the way I'm reading it nowadays. So don't give them excuses, because they might do it anyway, even without excuse. Real issues, you're on the air. Go ahead.
Yes, Shelton. Good afternoon, my brother.
How are you doing?
I'm doing good, but I was doing better a little while ago. Shelton, I've been hearing a lot of criticism about flu, but I never really witnessed it until not long ago. I tried making a call on behalf of a senior citizen who actually called them dozens of times for her cable TV and on a landline. And I am saying, well, what am I? Sheldon, they have, when you dial this thing, there's, I think, an AI, a voice recording that tells you, that answers the phone and then tells you what they can do for you. And you actually identify that human. And I called 3 different numbers, Sheldon, and I couldn't get one response. And what makes it worse, the lady is not able to walk properly. Her little entertainment is a her little African movies and, and I couldn't get anywhere with Flo. Nowhere at all. No human connection that can take a question or take a statement. Nothing. Man, Flo has gone complete. This company needs to close down and back up. You cannot tell me you're serving a population of 180,000 people, and one person has a problem. They call your line, your service line or your troubleshoot line or whatever line you want to call it. I got a 1-800 number. I called 3 different numbers, and I did not encounter no human voice that I can direct my query, my question, my problems to. I told you already what I'm going to do, what I can to assist you in that department. So I'm going to take my time and call Flo. And I now realize what the lady going through. And I will have to advise her if she could go. I don't know how better is DDCL, but no, man, honestly, Flo is taking us for granted. Completely taking us for granted, man. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Thank you very much. I tell you, I'm tired of talking about this thing, this service that we get in from companies that are established for such a long time. They really should be masters of the space, in terms of the quality, in terms of the service ethic and so on, but it looks like the only mastery they want to have is the mastery of a dominant position, abuse of that dominance, to extract money, to not invest in things to make their service better, to not be responsive to people. These are the kind of things that I see going on. But again, I don't know, like I said, they may not have a monopoly, but they have a dominant position that it might as well be a monopoly. And I think this dominance is being abused, it's being exploited, it's being whatever we can call it. Real issues, you're on the air, go ahead. Hello.
Yeah, good afternoon, Mr. Daniel.
Hi, good afternoon to you.
Yeah, the person that is calling on the Prime Minister that he should make a statement is just political wrongdoing on their part. Because the Prime Minister has to be very precautious and walk a very thin line in dealing with the United States of America.
Yes.
Because we know the economy of all this island is intertwined with the economy of the United States. And how heavily dependent we are on the United States. So there are times you have to stoop to conquer. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. Someone sent a message. They said, "Good evening to my dear minister," and they said they send this to a minister, so they're just copying it to me. "I would like to share an experience I had 3 days ago on VG Beach. We always go to VG Beach to exercise and bathe most mornings. 3 days ago, about 8:30 a.m., we, myself and my wife this time, just parked, killing time for an appointment. When we parked under a tree having some shade, after a while a lady turned up, started to set up her tables, umbrellas, etc. She started quarreling. It's like we were in her spot. We ignored her for peace sake. I have always loved to know that our people are making a bread on VG Beach. The question, are these people paying or renting our St. Lucian beaches? How much more space will they be requiring? Are the days of playing a cricket or football game on the beach gone? How much more space will they be requiring? These people actually show they are vexed and always frown at us, beachgoers." I can well imagine, I haven't had that experience, but I can well imagine, that when somebody has a spot that they always occupy, like there's a big tree towards the end of well, not the end, but, opposite the airport, the wooden walkway and so on. That I know on weekends, there are some people, nice people, I must say, having interacted with them, that they come and set up their stuff there. And I wouldn't give them trouble if they come. It's like the people who have the beach chairs business and so on, St. Lucians like myself, I suppose, trying to make a little dollar where they can. I would accommodate them. I won't insist on playing my cricket or football. A beach like VG, despite it being heavily utilized and so on, and it's a fairly large area and so on, so I can move somewhere to let them, I would do it, but I don't think they have a right to give you attitude. Some people don't know how to communicate and so on, I'm sure the people I'm talking about under that big tree, more towards the VG Peninsula, closer to where that hotel we're talking about these days is and so on. I don't really know how to describe it. Huge tree. And you find people not because they want to obstruct vendors, but they're looking for shade themselves, The sad thing is around November, December in a year, that's when they trim a lot of trees and, debush the place and so on. But with climate change, the heat comes upon us. It's like the drought season starts since, November, December, it's upon you. And, you have a whole lot of heat, but less shade to go under. So there's a lot of competition for shade and spots on the trees. I find when I go now to VG Beach and so on for a little shade and so on, it's difficult. The trees are not as bushy. The canopy and so on is not as dense as it would be in the towards the end of the year going into the first month. So there's a lot of, sometimes you park somewhere and it's strange how people come and try to squeeze in because of that competition for a bit of shade. I used to go to the cultural center grounds when it was open accessible, but so many people were coming. And again, the debushing of the mango trees and so on, where you get some shade and so on, is kind of, then I used to go down what you call it, by Ganter's Bay area and so on, where they have the catamarans and so on for the boat rides. And the trees there are still fairly intact. But a lot more people come there because, again, I'm saying people want a little place where, they can have a bit of shade and so on. I don't go there much, and I said I was going to stop going there. I've been there a couple of times, but I just got disgusted with the littering, You go there, it's a nice little vibe to just chill out yourself there, but too much of these people just tossing things out and just littering. So you mentioned about being able to play football on the beach and jog on the beach. It's probably not a bad thing if they prevent you from doing it, because right now I would not go and run on any beach or jog on any beach barefoot. Now, if you can enjoy a beach for a barefoot little run and small goals football or whatever it is and so on, I wonder how much it's worth it, because these very vendors, the fact that they're selling drinks in glass bottles and all of that, and people tossing it anywhere and it breaking, and you never know what's really in the sand, and a verbouteille can, how we say it in the Creole, can decali, can DYA you and so on. I just don't look forward to that. Going to the next thing, my foot is a bloody mess and so on. I really don't look forward to that kind of thing. It's like there is a heightened sense of danger. People throwing anything, anywhere, any place, anytime. VG is not supposed to be. It is a site for nesting turtles. That is a place where turtles come ashore, to lay their eggs and so on. We have heard about the problems all these plastics are causing to the turtles, and when they mistake it for jellyfish and they swallow it, it chokes them. It does a whole lot of mess thing to them. A turtle that has swum so far and that come out, what's floating off and it comes out of laying eggs, and it's feeling weak and hungry, and it thinks it's a nice, juicy jellyfish that it's getting, and it's some kind of plastic bag or whatever that it is taking in and so on. We have to have a more holistic sense and appreciation for our country, and I don't think we have it. And for all the things that the Donald Trumps and whatever of the world can do to us, and the oppression and the tariffs and the squeeze and the sanctions and so on, I have to say, the mess that we're doing to our own selves, the damage we're doing to our own selves, is something we have no excuse for, whether the excuse is Donald Trump or whether it is Europe and sanctions and FATF and whatever that thing, those European things that we're always trying to put the squeeze on our offshore financial services and our CIP programs and so on. All this squeeze, yeah, it's external to us, but there are some squeezes that are internal, that emanate from us, and we are not giving a good account of ourselves to our own selves. Real Issues, powered by Blue Waters. Let's take our final break. When we come back, we'll still be open for your calls and your messages.
The voice. Your hero is back. Raw facts, no fluffs. Shelton Daniel is here to deal with the issues. Real Issues, 12:30 p.m. to 2 p.m. Monday to Friday on Real FM.
McDowell's Supplements, an effective way to ensure you and your loved ones are getting the daily recommended intake of essential vitamins, minerals, and other important nutrients necessary for optimal health. Naturally, we carry an array of health and wellness supplements. McDowell's Immune Booster enhances your body's defense to fight colds and flu, boosts your immune system, prevents viruses and other airborne diseases. McDowell's Colon Cleanser prevents constipation, helps in removing toxins from the colon, detoxifies the body, and regulates your bowel movements. McDowell's Prostate Health prevent the enlargement of the prostate, improve urinary flow, and reduce frequent urination, especially at night. Moringa oleifera capsules are rich in minerals like calcium, potassium, zinc, magnesium, iron, and copper, vitamins like beta-carotene, vitamin A, vitamin B such as folic acid, vitamin C, D, and E. McDowell's Potassium Complex, used for treating and preventing low potassium levels, high blood pressure, preventing stroke, and aid in weight loss. McDowell's Triple Magnesium relaxes the muscles, relieves cramps and helps to control high blood pressure, improves sleep, and can calm the nerves. Magnesium is very important for the normal functioning of cells, nerves, muscles, bones, and the heart. McDowell's ginger turmeric helps to relieve pain, decrease nausea and enhance the immune function to help protect against illness and infection. Ginger turmeric has powerful anti-inflammatory properties and improves your circulation. Don't hold health back. Let health strike back. McDowell's, the better way to start your health. Visit Health Service Center, John Compton Highway, call 453-6417. Let your wellness be our stress.
It is well known that diseases like diabetes, high blood pressure, and other illnesses may restrict blood flow, which can lead to impotence and erectile dysfunction. This is why Enhance was formulated to meet these challenging health problems, which can reduce your ability to perform. If you're having problems maintaining your manhood, then reclaim your manhood today with Enhance. Enhance increases your energy level, boosts your stamina, and increases your endurance.
You can get your Enhance at Southwell Vie 4, Restorer Pharmacy Soufre, Knights Med Miku, Lay by Bar The Morn, Dexter's Place Jeremy Street Castries, Citygate Bar The City opposite the market, Plants Place Denry Highway, Arlette Supermarket Soufre, The Release Stress Bar Labrie Highway, Cool Joint Bar Victoria Schwazel, Prios Bus Stop 22, next to the Moshi Bus Stop opposite the Grosile Bus Stop, Prios Bar and Grill in Corinth, Grosile.
Enhance, the best a man can get.
Why are you suffering from aches, pains and illnesses? When there's help for you. At Health Service Center, we offer a wide range of treatment that has been scientifically proven to help you with your aches, pains and illnesses. Our ICT machine is one of the most effective devices in the health field. It has shown positive results in many health problems, such as back pains, shoulder pains, migraine headaches, pain in the knees and legs, poor circulation, arthritis, diabetic neuropathy, numbness in the feet, strokes and sports injuries. ICT, repairs, rebuild. The power to heal, the future of pain relief.
The man, the voice. Your hero is back. Raw facts, no fluffs. Shelton Daniel is here to deal with the issues. Real issues. 12:30 p.m. to 2 p.m. Monday to Friday on Real FM.
This is the Real Issues, and we are taking your calls. The landline seems to be the one that's working best, or that's getting the calls for the time being. So 4533911 is open to you, as well as 487-9849. Somebody said, Mr. Daniel, can you inform the callers that it is not all the people living abroad or in the diaspora that talk bad about their homeland? I feel very offended when everyone is painted with the same brush. And that's from Bernard Haynes, a St. Lucian who resides in New York in the USA. I got a couple of pictures, some suggesting that there has been a motorcycle fatality, that some crash, and they sent some pictures which I won't show. A man just died on that bike there this morning. I will say it again that I believe we are blessed and fortunate, and we are enjoying mercies when it comes to those motorcycles and the bikers and so on, the things that I see them doing. I believe it is surprising, pleasantly so, that we don't have more people dying as a result of motorcycle accidents. I mean, I see fewer than I used to before of what I call the show of bikers on the road, guys who the road is clear, they will not overtake, they will not pass. But once there is a dense double line of vehicles from opposite directions, for some reason it seems to put them on some kind of display or showcase of their skill, of their talent, of how how basically elegant and what was that word they call? Slick, that they are. in terms of their riding prowess, and so they'll weave their way and squeeze their way through opposing lines of traffic, because I guess there's more people, the captive audience there, to see them so that they can wow them, and the kind of danger I see them putting themselves in. Riding the bikes, I wonder if some people understand what hazard lights are for. They're riding the bikes and the hazard lights, the orange, continuously on, unless they know that they are operating hazardously, and creating hazardous conditions for themselves and for others. Real issues, you're on the air. Go ahead.
Yeah, good afternoon.
How are you doing?
I'm good. What I want to find out, what is happening with the DSH project?
I'm hardly hearing you, eh?
I just want to know what is happening with the DSH project. Is it still ongoing, or the development?
To my knowledge, that DSH project is on pause, and has been for some time. To the best of my knowledge, there's injunction, there's whatever that was put out, whatever and so on, preventing the state from taking back possession or whatever it was and so on. So, I mean, this is the subject of legal action, judicial action pending. No final determination has been made and so on. Yeah. What's wrong with your phone that is sounding so muffled, yeah? Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Like I said, I can hardly hear anything that you're saying. The quality of the call is just...
I'll listen to you over here because I'm not hearing anything.
All right. Okay. Thank you. Yeah. It's one thing that irks me. It's one thing that riles me, that doesn't rub me the right way at all. Poor sound quality, and so on. I think it's because of my long time in broadcasting and radio and so on. I just don't like to hear it. When I recognize that the cell phone thing is not, as we like to say, an exact science, and then it can be a little bit, temperamental and moody and so on, depending on where you are located. But otherwise, sometimes. Real issues, you're on the air. Go ahead.
Good afternoon, sir. How are you doing?
I'm doing okay. How about you?
Not too bad. I want you to explain something to me concerning when people running for political office.
Speak up a bit for me, please.
When people are running for political office, they use, I hear this word in America many times, conservative and liberalism. Mm-hmm. How do you explain that in politicians using this word, and what does that really mean? Can you explain that, please?
I got it. Somebody who understands the political science, who can give a sharper, clearer explanation of it. I have a broad idea in my head of what the conservatives tend to push and stand for. But even a liberal can have conservative stance on specific issues and so on, or certain things like that. So to take on to explain it, I would have to be a lecturer. Hello. Let's not talk over each other. Yeah, I would have to be a lecturer of sorts, which I'm not, for me to be able to even attempt to explain it. There are people who can. Maybe Dr. Carlton Augustine will call and will explain it.
I would appreciate that.
Yeah, okay.
And one more question. I heard they talking about a boat with St. Lucians that were killed over there between St. Vincent and other places in the Caribbean. Were the bodies been given to their respective families?
I have heard nothing like that. Nothing.
I never heard nobody ask that question. And what did they do with the bodies?
What did they what?
What they do with the bodies?
I don't know.
Yeah, it would be interesting to hear somebody reply to that.
Okay.
Okay, thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you very much. I'll say again, and we are heading towards we enter the final 15 minutes of today's program. All the people who want St. Lucia to make statements and to demand an account of the U.S., how do we know that's not being done away from the cameras? Don't make it a big commotion. Folks, I will say again what I have fundamentally said before. If Donald Trump can be treating much larger and more powerful countries who are actually U.S. allies with such disdain, Do entities like the UWP in St. Lucia, the NDP in St. Vincent and the Grenadines, the UNC in Trinidad and Tobago, and their leaders like Alan Jasney, Dr. Godwin Friday, and Kamla Prasad Bisesa actually believe that Trump's USA gives two hoots about us, what we believe and how we feel? And do we really want Philip J. Pierre to take St. Lucia, to drag St. Lucia, like Wavet Duvapool, to think he can go and shake his fist at Trump? Europe is now virtually quaking at the knees because of the way the United States is behaving to them, like absolute contempt, The people that Trump seems to have respect for are the people who are the traditional adversaries of America and Europe. If you're thinking about the NATO Europe and the EU Europe and so on. Is Russia and so on is showing a modicum of respect for them, and even North Korea and so on. Trump, threatening to seize Greenland, to take Greenland by force if Denmark will not give it to him, writing to the Prime Minister of Norway, reproaching him for not giving him the Nobel Peace Prize, and in a battle with Canada and always cussing off Canada's Prime Minister Mark Carney and putting sanctions on them and threatening to annex Canada. If the man is behaving like that towards countries that are so large and they're so powerful and that can give America some run and so on, you think St. Lucia makes any difference to him? Anyway, we have another call on the line. Real Issues.
Good afternoon, Mr. Sheldon.
Hey, good afternoon to you.
Yes, sir. I wanted to get a little information and a little insight. If your family passed away and the family leaves some property for you for will, can anybody write letters of administration
No, the letters of administration have to be applied for, and all the people who are considered the heirs, the natural heirs, especially the children of the person, the people who would have an interest in the natural succession, they would have to provide legal, notarized or whatever letters, what you call letters for the grant, for the grant of letters of administration. They would have to provide to say, okay, we are giving letters of administration to that person so that they can serve, to further the interest of the person who had the property. Otherwise, in the will, an executor can be named in the will. You understand? So you might have 7 brothers, and the person says, okay, they are hereby appointing this person to be the executor of their will, and then they spell out what the will is in. But if the person dies intestate, they did not leave a will, but there is property or some interest to be dealt with, then a letter of administration can be granted to somebody who is considered to have a legitimate interest and enjoys the approval of the other people, yeah?
Okay, I'm going for a similar issue where I was left a will. That was the only will I was left. And I've been trying my best to attain onto those properties and those accounts, but to me, I'm not getting much assistance because to me, all the lawyers on the One Bar Association, and it's more like a lawsuit.
What you might be doing there is making assumptions. You see, people like to stay and make assumptions that those lawyers they're all in the same lodge, but they have never tried. You should get to a lawyer, talk to a lawyer, say, look, I was left a will and I need to, probate the will or whatever. But I need certain things, whatever, power of attorney, letter of administration, whatever it is, ask a lawyer for advice on what you should do, and maybe that lawyer can provide you service. Lawyers tend not to be as expensive as people rumor them to be. In some situations they may be, and especially for how long, and they're not in the thing about selling you out to another lawyer because they're in the same law. Lawyers generally work on the strength of their reputation. And their reputation depends on how many cases they win. So a lawyer who to throw a case means that is a case that goes down that they lose, and that does not help their reputation and their record, which will get them clients and people, and so on. So people make up a lot of stories. I'm not saying none of them are ever true. I'm not saying that. But I'm saying we tend to make up those things about the lodge connection and the this and the that and so on, without ever putting a foot forward to test the water ourselves. Yeah.
Okay, understood. And I had one more point to make before I cut off. On the incident of Miss Romeo Lodge, that was the incident I think sometime occurred somewhere in town, Castries by the Brazil bus stop somewhere.
What about the incident? What?
I think I was pertaining to the incident, Miss Romeo Lodge. I think an incident that took place someplace in Castries.
That's the dispatcher who was shot on the Grosley bus stand?
Yes.
Yeah.
So what is to me? I haven't heard nothing about that as yet.
My friend, I don't know. I've been saying so much about this, and you're just not hearing anything. You know, a guy was arrested and charged. You know, for killing Humia Lord. Shortly after, that's one time the police picked up a guy very quickly, and I can tell you because he's been formally charged. The guy's name was Michael Poloy, and his nickname was Mad Crime. He was resident in Vanau, Millet, or one of those areas down there. But apparently, and I know there's a Poloy people from Choiseul, they ended up picking him up in Choiseul. And the guy was arrested and charged, so I don't think he's out on bail. But apart since then, nothing has been heard in terms of the case moving forward.
Not to cut you short, because in fact, the pole line is my nephew. That is why I came up with that topic anyway.
Who's that? Who's that? The guy who's been charged?
Yes, but to my knowledge and to my understanding, that there's several people out there who's involved in that matter, as well as one of those bus drivers also.
So have you ever tried to find out, I don't know what your relationship with Michael Polo is, to find out what's the situation with him, you know, why is he still, because there's a thing about justice. You can't have a man...
What he told me actually was that he was contacted by a husband.
No, don't say any more about that, okay?
Okay.
Don't say any more about that. Okay, all right.
But anyway, yes, sir.
Okay,
yes.
You can, if you know my number, because I always give it out on there, you can call me after the program, but there's certain things you must never say that on air, okay? They're prejudicial.
Well, I'll call you shortly after the program, sir.
Yeah, please do. Thanks.
Okay, you're welcome, sir.
All right. We have a caller waiting on the WhatsApp line. Thank you very much for your patience. Real Issues. You're on the air now. Go ahead. Hello? Hello?
Hey, good afternoon, Shelton. Carlton here.
Yeah, hi. How are you doing?
I wanted to pivot to this whole Cuba medical situation.
Yes.
When the PM spoke, many people, some Flobos are trying to say that he lied, even if the release from the U.S. Embassy said that they had not spoken to St. Lucia recently. Recently. They didn't say that they never spoke to him about the mission. Yeah. Now, I also sent you recently 2 articles in regard to Jamaica, which states that Jamaica is renegotiating its Cuban medical partnership amid growing U.S. pressure. The other article states that UWI is prepared to absorb the Cuban students, the Jamaican students who are studying in Cuba. So let's put 2 and 2 together. What is going on? You think this would just be done in isolation, these moves?
Absolutely, it would not be. It's illogical.
You know, so what I'm saying, I want the people who criticize the PM to think about that. The PM was proactive. He acted faster than other regional governments. But there's definitely something afoot.
Okay.
And if anybody had any doubt, just read those 2 articles and put 2 and 2 together.
All right.
That's all I wanted to say.
Okay, thank you very much, Carlton. Appreciate it. All right, then, so we can release that particular one. I think that's our first call we got on the WhatsApp line. We got all the other calls on the landline. You know, sometimes you just can't basically figure out why things work the way they do on certain occasions. But it's obvious that the WhatsApp line is working because Carlton came through clear on it. So 4879849. I think we still have time. We can take a couple more calls before we sign off for today. You know, and of course you can get us on the landline, which is 4533911, and that's where the other call is coming through right now. Real Issues, you're on the air. Go ahead. Hello. You know, I suspect we have a line blocker. You know, somebody who just calls to occupy the line, but they don't intend to say anything. They're just taking up, the time and the space on it. And if I'm like, the person wanted me to lie. Yeah, you're on the air. Go ahead.
Hello.
Yes, you're on the air. Go ahead. Hello.
Good afternoon.
Yeah, I'm hearing you. Go ahead.
Yeah, good afternoon.
Yeah, good afternoon to you. Go ahead.
Shelton Daniel.
Go ahead, Pali. Yeah, what?
Yes. Prayer to Saint Judy Thaddeus. Saint Jude, also known as Thaddeus, was the brother of Saint James. The lesson he preached in Mesopotamia in the 1st century with his fellow Apostle Simon Jude is believed to have written the book of Jude in the New Testament. He is the widely called upon by those who find themselves in desire. This time he is the pattern of saint and impossible curses. Merci, maso la prière sala pour nous toutes, en la terre, Satani, Capoponi, et tu travailles papa, c'est ça qu'on a fait. Merci, Mr. Sheldon Daniel. C'est ça, forward là, Nikabay. C'est ça, ça fait. Travail pour nous toutes.
Ok, merci un peu le forward là. Passez une bonne restant journée, bon Dieu béni. All right. You know, folks, this foolishness that's being pushed by the UWP and its surrogates, that this U.S. administration, somehow you can appease them by being butt and butt lickers, you know, brown noses and yard fouling to them and, you know, being that kind of sycophantic relationship with them, agreeing with everything they say, voting how they want you to vote at the United Nations and so on. This U.S. administration does not care how NATO feels, its own allies. An organization of mutual defense and military cooperation and so on that it founded, it brought them into it. It doesn't care. It doesn't care how Canada feels. It doesn't care how India feels. It doesn't care how Denmark feels about Greenland and so on. That you are pushing on us that they will love and respect you so much that they will not adopt a hostile posture towards you. What do you have that they should care about you? Especially, you know, you maintain close and fertile relations with China and Chavismo Venezuela, such as in the cases of Antigua and Barbuda and Dominica. Once you have relations with China and so on, they turn on you, you know, basically because you're not serving their agenda. So I don't know why any party in St. Lucia, Alan Shastney's party, because this ain't John Compton's party anymore, you know, that they want to push the line that somehow we can have a pro-American and an amicable relationship with Trump and the Republicans, that, you know, we will be made an exception. You know, we're not going to be made any exception. These people don't care about you. You're too insignificant. You don't even show up on the map, you know, of the region, of the Caribbean, much less of the world. So get out of this fantasy out of your head that you can do better than Philip J. Pierre because you know how to lick the boots and to kiss the bam bam of Donald Trump and so on. Stop making fools of yourself. Stop doing magic with yourself. You nothing, you nobody, you insignificant, you irrelevant to them. Real Issues, you're on the air. Probably our final caller.
I don't know why you're wasting your time. There's no UWP St. Lucia.
Okay, but you don't waste time now. Say what you call to say.
So what I'm saying, this is what it is. That's a waste of your time.
All right, okay. Thank you very much. All right, and that's our program for today. Thank you so very much, everyone, for being part of it. Let's do it again same time tomorrow from 12:30 to 2 on Real FM radio station, NBC Television, Facebook and YouTube Live. On behalf of our technical operator, Jaquan, this is Shelton Daniel. On The Real Issues, powered by Blue Waters, signing out.
The man, the voice. Your hero is back. Raw facts, no fluffs. Shelton Daniel is here to deal with the issues. Big issues. 12:30 p.m. to 2 p.m. Monday to Friday on Real FM.
winning numbers for the midday draw of Thursday, 19 February 2026 were Double Daily Grand, 11, 15, 19, 21. Big 4, 3, 9, and 9, and 2. The Big 4 multi-X ball drawn is FB. Big 2, 0, 6. The Big 2 multi-X ball drawn is 3X. 1 off, 3, 3, 7. Lucky 3, 2, 1, 9. The Lucky 3 multi-X ball drawn is 3X.
The man, the voice. Your hero is back. Raw facts, no fluff.